seconds.
Clutch is his name. Talking sports is his game.
End zone. Touchdown with no time left.
Pushing the limits.
They win on the last play of the ball game.
There are no limits.
Are you kidding?
Who can you count on to make the last throw or shot?
Wow, and the game is over.
Mikey Clutch. This is the final play.
Unbelievable.
We are back. Welcome into the final play with Mikey Clutch. I am your host, Mikey Clutch. We figured it out. We're live. Camera's working. Microphone's working on everything. Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and X. The big X. Yeah. NFL playoffs, but PGA Tour's back. We got NBA halfway through the season. Obviously, we're going to talk about the divisional round. I got my debt-free pick 3 picks, which were 2-1 last week. Some big games. Bears and the Niners find themselves both advancing to the divisional round. And let's start with the divisional round. Today, the Buffalo Bills travel at the Denver Broncos. That's at 3:30 today, Central Time. These two teams played each other in the playoffs last year in the wild card round. Bills took care of business on that one. But starting here, Denver defense, just as good as that Texans defense, number 2 in the league, yards per game, and just as good as that Jacksonville rush defense that was able to kind of put a cap on James Cook last week. Now, James Cook has had success against this Denver defense the last few years. Last year had over 100 yards in the wild card round. So there's definitely ways to be successful against this Denver defense in the run game. I think there were a couple games this year where teams abandoned the run. Even a great example is the Philadelphia Eagle game, where Philadelphia ran the ball less than 10 times, and they had a lead going into the second half and barely ran the ball, and that's kind of why that game ended the way it did with Denver coming back. So I don't know. I feel like the Bills really tried last week to run the ball with James Cook. He had 15 carries, even though he didn't really do much, because that Jacksonville defense was coming in as best run defense in the league, and Denver's number 2 right behind him with, I think, 91 yards a game given up. So we'll see what happens. Josh Allen ran the ball 11 times. I think he's probably going to have to use his legs again just because of the pass rush of the Denver Broncos, which, were number 1 this year, getting to the quarterback. So yeah, it's going to be a good matchup. I think Buffalo to, kind of same game plan as last week. Get the ball out quickly, screen game. Shakir, had a hell of a game. They just kept throwing him quick passes and screens, and he was able to do a lot with them, catch the ball 12 times. So I think that's kind of the recipe. But, both coaches here, McDermott, a defensive-minded head coach, and then you have Sean Payton, who's more on the offensive side of things. And I kind of really quick, like Sean Payton this year, kind of under the radar as how well of a job he's done coaching. I know we have big names and sexier names like Ben Johnson and Liam Cohen, and then also Mike McDonald and Mike Vrabel. But Sean Payton, I mean, he only had 3 losses this year. Last year, what he was able to do, taking over after a Fangio and then Ben Hackett coming in and really turning this thing around in 3 years. They got a number 1 seed. Last year they made it to the wild card, and the year before, Russell Wilson, they were 8-9. So, and that was his first year there. It was a real big culture change, and he had to do a lot. So I like hats off to him. I don't think he's getting enough love this year as far as like the coach of the year candidates, just because the other guys have taken over worse situations and completely flipped it. Like the Bears went from worst to first in the NFC North. You had the Patriots, who were one of the worst teams in the league last year, up into the final week. They were in contention for the number one pick, and they flipped that around, won the division, and Drake May is looking like a top 5 quarterback in year 2. But I just think in this game, Bo Nix is probably going to have to be a little bit like last year's Bo Nix. I know this year he's played well, but he's just been a little inconsistent. And in Denver's favor, though, if it's a close game, Denver has been really good in one-possession games. They're 11-2 all year. So, and Buffalo's 5-4 in one-possession games. Now, they won last week in a playoff match. But I think Denver, we've seen the success teams have had against Buffalo running the ball. I don't know why Jacksonville, again, gets away from running the ball with Etienne and Tootin. Etienne and Tootin combined for 9.75 yards per carry and only 14 carries combined. Now, that is just, you got to, if Harvey is running the ball that well, I feel like Denver is just going to keep pounding the rock until Buffalo proves they can stop the run. Because I don't know why you wouldn't keep running the ball with them. Now, as a team, as a whole, Jacksonville averaged 6.7 yards per carry. So you're getting a first down every 2 carries. So I don't know why Jacksonville got away with it. They kind of put the ball in Lawrence's hands late. I know the interception tip, they kind of had to throw, but who knows? You may get a big chunk play. You had plenty of time. But I think what's another plus for Denver is I think Jacksonville kind of also exposed the secondary for Buffalo, who's been kind of iffy. And, Cortland Sutton can have a big day. Knicks has plenty of, young weapons. And then obviously, the sure-handed guy in Sutton to move the ball, kind of complement that run game. So we'll see what happens there. But like I said, if Denver has success running the ball, do not get away from it. I feel like that's kind of what's been the detriment to some teams against Buffalo, is just getting away from the run when they just give up big gap. You can gash them like a lot. So we'll see what if they continue that game plan. But yeah, it's another tough matchup defensively and offensively. I mean, against the defense of Denver for Buffalo. But we'll see if Josh Allen can answer the call. They were able to win last week and take care of business and advance to the divisional round. But as I mentioned with Justin last week, it's Super Bowl or bust for this Buffalo team this year. And now it flipped. They opened up as favorites. They are now 1.5 point underdogs going into Denver, which rightfully so. Denver was the number 1 seed in the NFL. So yeah, let's see what happens there. I'm thinking it's going to be a good game, though. It should be a good game. Moving on. We have the San Francisco 49ers. Game 3. Traveling over to Seattle tonight at 7 p.m. Central Time. This is going to be on Fox. Week 18 did not look good, right? Week 18 did not look good at all for the Niners offense. Only scored 3 points. They had a chance at the late in the game to get another touchdown on the board. And McCaffrey, just as they're going to score, completely just drops the ball and it lands into a defender's hands. Sorry if I sound stuffy. I got just crazy congestion right now. So my lips are dry too, so you see me licking my lips. But I don't know. I think Trent Williams being back, he came back last week, huge for the Niners offense. Only 1 sack given up against the Eagles, who I was very scared of that Eagles pass rush last week. And Niners offensive line did a good job. Now, the defense just continues to impress. I mean, they were really, other than Saquon Barkley kind of going off, holding that Eagles offense to a minimum scoring. So I think it was same recipe, but what killed the Niners the last game was just couldn't stop Kenneth Walker or Charbonnet in the run game. I mean, I just think about that 3rd and long that the Seahawks had, and they were able to convert. I think it was like 3rd and 17, and they picked it up on the ground. So I think if the Niners can stop the run game and the run attack of Seattle, they have a really good chance at keeping this close, and it won't be as bad of a game as last time around. Now, it hurts to see some of these guys hurting out. Jair Brown was playing so well late in the year, and he's going to be out with the hamstring. Tatum Bethune out on IR now with the groin, and then D Winters is questionable, which is pretty big. And then on the Seattle side of things, Sam Darnold, oblique injury, has not thrown the ball since getting that injury in practice. So we'll see what happens there. I think he's expected to go today. I don't see why he wouldn't. Just being cautious, probably not throwing the ball, but it's something to monitor. Because obviously with how well he's been playing now, I hope they don't bake that excuse in if the Niners were to pull off a big upset here against Seattle. But I don't know. It's like I said, something to monitor with Sam Darnold and his health going into tonight. But George Kittle going to be out. Unfortunately, tore his Achilles last week. Was having a hell of a year when he was playing, but now it's time for Tonjes to step up again in Kittle's absence. He's been doing a hell of a job all year when Kittle's been out. I think I've mentioned that over and over again every time I speak about the Niners and when Kittle's been out and Tonjes in. So I don't know. It's just the Niners have been doubted all year. They still find ways to win. Now I'm struggling to see the bright side in this game as a Niners fan. Based on that last matchup, but also just this defense for Seattle has been so damn good. I don't know. I just don't see a window of opportunity or a weakness that the Niners can exploit. You just hope McCaffrey has one of those historic McCaffrey games. And Purdy just shows some brilliance, uses his legs to get out of situations, because I know the Seattle's defense is going to be pressuring and getting to him. But they are, to me, the scariest unit next to Texans. And we saw what Texans did last week. And, D'Amico Ryan, shout out to him, former coach for the Niners, dominated Aaron Rodgers and that Pittsburgh team. Pittsburgh couldn't win the ball, and then the defense just really took over late. So I think Seattle's defense was just as scary as that one. They definitely worried me a little bit. So we'll see. I think the Niners, have an outside chance, but they got to stop the run. Like I said, last game, 39 carries for 180 yards for Seattle, 4.6 yards per carry. And Charbonnet and Kenneth Walker were just slashing that defense for big gains. It sucked. Now, I understand Brian Robinson for the Niners is the backup, but there's somebody on the Niners roster in the backfield who's been banged up, but is healthy now and active and had success last year against Seattle. I just like his speed and he's just a really good change of pace back from both, McCaffrey and Brian Robinson, and that's Isaac Orendo. I don't understand why he hasn't touched the ball all year. And I feel like he could be a really good weapon for the Niners run attack. I just think with that speed, and he was also good out of the backfield catching the ball. He caught 15 for 16 targets last year when he was in there. So I don't understand why Shanahan hasn't kind of used him a little bit and used him as a toy out there. But I don't know. I think he'd be a kind of under the radar guy out of nowhere that I don't think Seattle would be expecting and would have game plan against. So I don't know if Shanahan was able to pull some tricks out of his sleeve. I think that would be one of them. But this is a kitchen sink game for the 49ers. You got to throw everything you have against the Seattle team to advance. Now, I do think losing week 18 kind of benefits the Niners in some way. It's just better because they won the week 1 game, lost week 18. Now, hopefully, usually when teams split, it's not one team, it's hard to beat a team 3 times, but now you only got to worry about beating them twice. So we'll see. But Mike McDonald kind of touched on this with the Sean Payton talk, but coach of the year, I think it's probably between him, Vrabel, and Ben Johnson at this point. I know it's a regular season award, but he had the best team in the NFC, basically for the majority of the year. So he does as a play caller, but scares me. But we'll see how this game goes. Like I said, not looking so good for the 49ers. All right. Moving on to tomorrow, the other 2 games. First game, it's going to be the Houston Texans at New England Patriots, 2 p.m. Central Standard Time on ESPN tomorrow. I don't know. The Texans defense, obviously on a Monday night, looked really good last week. Now, they lost Nico Collins to a concussion. He's going to be out. Trent Brown is questionable with an ankle. So for that offense of Houston going against this really good New England defense, it's going to be a struggle fest, I think, for CJ Stroud. Now, unless Stroud, if he turns into rookie year Stroud, I don't see how this game's close. I feel like this is just going to be another defensive battle with D'Amico and Mike Vrabel game planning against both offenses. Now, Woody Marks has played really well at the running back position for Houston Texans. It's kind of unfortunate that Joe Mixon didn't play a lick all year. Not one snap. He's been hurt all year, and he won't be back at all, not even in the playoffs, even if they made Super Bowl. But I think Nico Collins being out is kind of big for the Texans for obvious reasons. He's their number 1 guy and just a big target, catches everything almost that comes his way. And this Patriots defense, if there's one thing you can do against them, it's kind of throw on them a little bit. But it is a short week for that Houston team, but defenses do travel well in the playoffs, especially. Can that New England offensive line, who's played well when healthy, protect Drake May against this fierce pass rush of the Houston Texans that just last week went to town. Now, I do think the Patriots offensive line is a lot better than that Pittsburgh Steelers offensive line, but man, they definitely got their hands full with this fierce pass rush of the Texans. A lot is going to be put on the shoulders of Drake May. Now, he's been able to answer the bell all year. He really only had one bad game. I think if he keeps up and plays against this Houston Texans defense tomorrow and plays well, like the MVP level well, man, Patriots, I feel if they get past this test, and if they play Denver next week, I think Patriots win all day. But the only problem is if they play the Bills again, I think that's what's going to be the issue. I think the Bills probably the only team left in the playoffs that can give the Patriots fits. I think Patriots will kind of handle business against Denver. I just think, but then again, it would be in Denver. But anywho, real quickly though, because there's another wrinkle in this game. There is a little bit of a
well. How the turntables.
I love it. So basically, last year, Stephon Diggs played for the Houston Texans and played well before he got hurt. Played really well. So he's facing a former team of his. Now, we saw what he did week 1 or earlier in the first game against Buffalo, played and dominated. So I think Stephon Diggs is clearly a threat against this Texans defense. A sure-handed guy who can get open, and especially on third downs, be a safety valve for Drake May. We'll see what the run game does. If the run game could do something, that'd be nice and help him out, because I think Travion Henderson with the home run capability. But I mean, look at what Stevenson's been doing out of the backfield. He's been catching the ball. He had a really big catch last week. So I think getting the ball out to your running backs quickly, especially with this pass rush, it's kind of like with the Bills against Denver. You know, when you're going up against these great pass rushers, that these guys are able to get to the quarterback so quickly. And quarterback's best friend is just quick dump offs, out to the flat, little swing routes to the running backs, and let them do the rest. So we'll see. But with these defensive lines being able to create pressure with 4, it also allows the defenses to put 6 DBs out there and linebackers if they can jump on the running back route. So we'll see how that goes. But I don't know. I think the Patriots are going to have to get the ball out quickly, which Drake May has done really well with. And you know what? Like last week, not for nothing, I think Pittsburgh had a couple of big plays out there. Rodgers missed a couple throws and had guys open deep. So I don't know. If the same thing happens today, I think Drake May has a chance to complete some of those, because I feel like he is already at this stage, top 3, top 2, number 1, best deep ball thrower in the league. So that's something to monitor too, because if guys are able to get past the secondary and Drake May is able to hit some of these big plays, that's another spot where the Patriots can keep it close and make things interesting. But yeah, Vrabel, no stranger to the playoffs, getting a great win last week versus the Chargers, but with all of his time with the Patriots, he's led a couple playoff teams in Tennessee. So he kind of knows how to get these teams ready. And then obviously with D'Amico here, what is this, year 3? And he's been in the playoffs every year. So it's just a good coaching matchup, I think, as well as defensive coaches go battle for both of them. All right, finally for the NFL, big one here in Chicago. The Los Angeles Rams at Chicago Bears tomorrow night, 5:30 p.m. Central Standard. It's going to be on NBC or Peacock. And I mean, what more can you say about the Bears that just continue to fight week after week? And then last week coming from behind and scoring all those points in the fourth quarter and knocking off the Green Bay Packers, which this is probably the biggest win in Bears history other than the Super Bowl in 85. I feel like it by far the biggest win. So they're now 2 games away from making another Super Bowl appearance. 40 years later? So is it in the cards? Could we get another Super Bowl, that 85 rematch between the Patriots and the Bears? It very well could happen. So yeah, I mean, Rams and Stafford last week, a little too close for comfort. Big 10-point favorites. Now I called that one. It was going to be a lot closer. You just can't make a home team in the playoffs 10-point underdogs. You just can't. I thought that was the easiest pick of last week. They actually almost won outright. They had the lead with under 3 minutes left, and Rams finally, Stafford. Now, Stafford, no stranger to playing outside in the cold weather. I know he's been a dome quarterback his whole career, but he was in the NFC North. Bears and Packer games, December. He's kind of been really good outside as well in those games against the Bears and Packers when traveling on the road. So I don't know. I don't think the weather for him is going to be an issue. You also have Devontae Adams, who's familiar with this match, like going on the road into Chicago. He's had some good games. So I know teams are completely different now, but I mean, it's just the trend. The trend is there. But I think the Rams, high-powered offense, knowing that they have their guys healthy now, it's going to be a struggle for the Bears to stop them now. it could be a potential shootout this game just because both offenses have looked really good. I know Bears more late in games than the whole game, but Rams being able to run the ball, they really got Corum and Kyron Williams going last week. So with the 1-2 punch of them guys always having a fresh back out there allows them to, put pressure on the defense and wear them down. But this might be another game that comes down to who has the ball last. You just got two quarterbacks that have been really good in the clutch. But I don't know. I think it should be a close game now. The Bears being a 4.5 point underdog at home. A little surprising. I don't know. I feel like Bears fans are a little worried about this game. I just think the Bears have a really good shot. Now, obviously, everybody has a shot any given Sunday. It's the playoffs. But I think the Bears, it probably should be a little lower, like 2.5. Because I think the Bears have a really good shot here. I think you could throw on this Rams defense. Just Caleb being able to move around. Rams pass rushers might not be able to get to him. So we'll see. Yeah, that's kind of it. But let's get into the debt-free pick 3. Shall we?
We don't do anything illegal.
Debt-free pick 3.
Look what I found in my pocket! Look! A year's salary right here! What I call them? A fun coupon!
This is the debt-free pick 3.
On the final play!
With Mikey Clutch.
All right. That's right. The debt-free pick 3. I got a couple games or 3 games, obviously, out of the 4 that I'm going to pick. There are 3 that I liked more than the others. 31-30 on the entire year. 1-2-1 last week. Panthers, Bills, covered. Said the Bills would win outright. They did. The only team that didn't cover was Pittsburgh. They got bounced at the end. It was close for the most part, but the games that I like a lot in this one, I'm gonna start with today, and the Buffalo Bills. I think I kind of been on them since the beginning of the playoffs, in the beginning of the year, to be honest, and I think it's all or nothing for this team, and plus 1.5 on the road in Denver. I think they went out right again today. It's really McDermott's job on the line, and I think they're going to come out there, and Josh Allen is just going to Josh Allen the game and put them in a good position to win. So I got Buffalo taking that one. And then the Niners at Seattle tonight, plus 7.5 for the Niners. I think it's just too big of a number for a divisional game. Now, I do think Seattle still wins, maybe 21-17 in that range. But I do like the Niners to cover. Now, does scare me just because of what happened on that last game of the year. But Niners had a chance to at least make it a 3-point game in that one, and then McCaffrey did what he did and kind of just stopped the Niners' chance of putting up a touchdown at all. So I don't think it's going to be where the Niners don't score again in this one. I think they're going to have better chances and better opportunities. But again, if they are going to cover this, they have to stop the run game. And then Jackson Smith and Jigba always really has a day against the Niners, but we'll see. And then finally tomorrow, taking the Bears plus 1.5 at home against the Rams. Just think what Ben Johnson has done for this Bears team. It's just different. It's a different vibe here in Chicago. It feels different. I said that to Justin last week. I'm like, I picked Green Bay, but I said it feels different with Chicago this year. They really feel like a team that is for real. And I think it's all boils down to the coach, Ben Johnson, what he was able to do, turning this thing around and having those guys believe and fight. And Caleb now I mean, what Caleb's done and how much he's grown from last year with that situation and just all year round. Now, again, with the Ben Johnson effect, holding him accountable all year. And it's shown. And even in training camp, you remember those stories? He was, yelling at Caleb and all this stuff, but coming down hard on him. And I think it just was for the better. And you see it in these games late. So we might just see the Bears make it interesting late. Now, I kind of think the Bears went outright against the Rams, but we'll see. So that's going to do it for the Debt Free Pick 3. It's going to be Buffalo plus 1.5, Chicago Niners plus 7.5, Bears plus 4.5 tomorrow. But as I mentioned, we're almost out of here. NBA. We are halfway through the NBA season. First time I'm talking about the NBA all show all year long. Now, I am always football heavy during the football season, but it's time to start transitioning into some NBA talk, especially because NBA, we got the trade deadline coming soon. You got the All-Star weekend, and then after that, it's the push for the playoffs. And then, playoffs start heating up come spring and summertime. So just my midseason review and some of my takes. The Trae Young trade, I wasn't surprised. I thought they should have traded him when he was out injured earlier in the year, and you saw the Hawks start winning games and Jalen Johnson taking over that team when Trae Young was out, and then Trae Young came back into the lineup. They lost like 8 straight or something like that, and then he left again, and the Hawks started winning. I think Jalen Johnson playing at an all NBA level this year, hell of a fucking player. I love his game. He just does everything for that team. Now, probably too big of a load. Maybe they're another trade piece away to making another move, but I think that's better off for the Hawks. And then obviously Trae Young going to the Wizards, who are probably looking to lose, kind of tank at this point with the way their season has been going. But obviously the Detroit, biggest surprise in the East, OKC where they should be in the West. Boston at number 2. Now, probably a lot of people in the beginning of the year, Jason Tatum out for the regular season or potentially could come back later. But a lot of people kind of look down on the Celtics. I was like, well, you have the infrastructure. You have a finals winning head coach. You have Jaylen Brown, who is a number 1 and would be a number 1 on 80% of teams, 90% of teams in the league. So when you have those two things and an organization that, really does business well, as far as putting in players that fit roster and scheme wise, I didn't believe that they were going to bottom out and not even be a contender. They're number 2 in the East right now. And I feel like they have a really good opportunity to even take the number 1 seed. And I still think that Boston is either going to be in the conference finals or potentially even make it back to the finals. Now Tatum would be back at that point, but I don't know. They're still so damn good. And I think Jaylen Brown finally proved why he was worth all that money, being, the second highest paid guy on that team. I think Denver and the Clippers in the West. Now Clippers finally showing some life. They started the season 10-21. They've won 5 straight. They're 8-2 in their last 10. I think they're a team to watch out for. They're now in the play-in discussion. I think they'll probably lock in a playoff spot. There's a couple teams above them. I think Golden State's going to fall. I think the Lakers are going to fall out of a playoff. I think they're going to end up jumping in. And then Denver, as I just mentioned, I think them staying afloat right now. They've won 3 straight. Jokic has been out. He's going to miss, extended time. And I feel like once they're healthy, Aaron Gordon just came back. They're getting healthy. And then once they get Jokic, I think the Denver Nuggets are probably the biggest threat to OKC come playoff time. Now, obviously the Spurs could probably, throw their hat in the ring in that conversation just because of what they've been able to do against OKC already this year. But I just think Denver, I don't know, like Denver and Boston finals sounds realistic to me. It really does. But yeah, and then, I love the Lakers, but I just feel a little fool's gold with them. Reeves has been missing time. Luka just went out. LeBron, playing as well as he is at this age. I don't know. They're just missing something. And I don't know if they're going to be able to make really moves other than getting rid of Reeves at the trade deadline to get some, winning pieces there. But I don't know. It's looking a little, I just don't believe it for them. And then I think another team other than Denver in the playoffs, Minnesota, the Timberwolves have been playing so damn good. It seems like Anthony Edwards takes a step every year. Julius Randle, who, I don't know. I think if you do that trade again between Minnesota and the Knicks, I think both teams do it again. I think both teams are very happy of what they got. I think Julius Randle kind of unfairly got picked apart in that trade, especially from New York fans. But I just think you're getting a guy who plays hard, big physical guy, and is a good playmaker at that size. He does a lot of things well for that team. I just watch out for them in the playoffs. And then finally, not really a good team, not doing so well, but the Hornets have been so fun to watch. Rookie, if it wasn't for Cooper Flagg being in this rookie class, I think Con Knipple might be one of the top 3 to win the Rookie of the Year. But I mean, this rookie class has been with Harper. You got VJ Edgecombe over there in Philly, which Philly probably exceeding expectations in the East as well this year. You got a lot of guys. Jeremiah Fears over in New Orleans. Now, New Orleans, to me, a disappointment. I thought they'd be kind of like a dark horse team. They got so much talent. I just don't know why they're not playing good at all. You've got Zion back playing pretty decent when when he's in the lineup. And then Trey Murphy is Trey Murphy. Kind of an underrated player in the league. But yeah, finally, golf is back. Sony Open, Hawaii. We got Brooks Koepka coming back, and he will make his debut at the Farmers Insurance Open at the end of the month. We have, Rahm, DeChambeau, and Cam Smith were offered opportunities to come back, but they are committed to live, so that's unfortunate. We won't see them on a regular basis, but still watch out for them in the majors. Scotty Scheffler back next week, the American Express. He was out, remember, last year, the first month, the hand injury, cut himself. And it's just good. It's a good year, good time for sports. Everything's coming back. We're going to have, obviously, baseball, which I probably won't talk much about baseball at all. Just not something I watch on a regular basis in the regular season, especially early on. But yeah, a lot unpacked on the final play today. Don't forget to follow, like, subscribe on X, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, all socials at TFP Mikey Clutch. Enjoy the playoffs, divisional round today. Go Niners, go Bears. I think that would be the coolest thing. Bears Niners conference championship. And that would guarantee one of our teams making it to the Super Bowl. But that's going to do it for me. Have a good weekend. Enjoy. And we'll play you out. Gotta play you out.